Culture. Okay, so in this video we are going to talk about culture. We will learn culture. The subtopics that we are going to look at are: the first one is categories of culture, components of culture, characteristics of culture, and importance of culture. The part 2 will deal with the last subtopics and we'll be done with culture. Okay, before we go to the categories of culture, we would like to know what culture is. Let us look at the definition of culture. The definition of culture. We are saying culture is the way of life of people in a particular society. Let me end here first of all. The way of life, just how you live in that particular society, we are referring that to as culture. Culture. How is it learned? And it is learned through the process of socialization. The way of life is learned through the process of socialization. We would like to know what socialization is. What is socialization? We are saying socialization is the inaction or the introduction. We are using the word inaction of a new member of society into the values, customs, and norms of that particular society. It's like we have got a person who has just come from a far place, has come to reside in our area. So we should try to make that person adapt to the way of life of that particular society. Okay, this is how we live here. This is the food we eat. This is the way we conduct ourselves. So that is introducing that person to the values, the customs, and the norms of your society. That is what we call what? Socialization. That is how culture is linked. That is how it is linked. Done with a definition. Having known the definition, we now go to the categories of culture. The first one is the social culture or the social facts. So you can call it social culture. It is also referred to as what? Social facts. What is this category or this kind of culture? This is concerned with how people in a particular society interact with each other and conduct themselves during special occasions like funerals, weddings. Two important words here: how people interact and how they conduct themselves during special occasions like funerals. How do you conduct funerals? Do you dance during funerals? Do you just cry during funerals? How do you conduct weddings? That is what we are calling social culture or the social facts. The second one is material culture or the artifacts. From the word material, this is shown in the materials produced by a certain society. Materials produced by a certain society. For example, the Mambwes from, I don't know if it's Nakonde, they make those hoes. The hoes has no that upper part of the hoe itself. You know the type of hoes the Mambwe people use. Different from the ones the Lala use. So those materials that they produce are also culture. They are the artifacts. They are the artifacts, including anything, any kind of materials that may be produced by a particular society. It's being referred to as what? Material culture. We come to ideological culture or the Mentifacts. This shows There must be shows here. This shows ideas and beliefs that people in a particular society believe in. What do you believe in as in your particular society, in your society? What do you believe in? What do you value the most? Your ideas, your mental facts. That is ideological culture. For example, in some societies, it's common that people get married at a very tender age. At 16 years, they will think, this person is able to get married. But in some society, that is prohibited. What do you value in as in your particular society? That is what we are calling what? Ideological culture. These are the three categories of culture that we have. Do not confuse the categories of culture and the types of culture or the components. These are the categories of culture that we have. Having known the categories of culture, we can now talk about the components of culture. These are things that we find in culture. The things that we find in culture itself. Okay. So, the first one is language. Language. So, what are we talking about here? Language is the most obvious difference between cultures. It's the most obvious difference. In culture, you find language. So, the language that you speak expresses your culture. It's the culture as well. You go to Central Province, you find people speaking Bemba, Lala. You go to what are the Tongas? Southern Province, you find people speaking Tonga. You go to Nakonde, don't know, you find what? The Mambwe, the Namwangas. So the language there is differentiating us. Okay, these are Lalas, these are Bembas. Me, I'm a Lala. I'm a Lala. So the language differentiates us from other cultures. So it defines a cultural group, even though the same language may be used in different countries. Even though the same language may be used in different countries, but language defines to say, okay, this one is a Lala. It's from Central Province, from Serenje. That is about language as a component of what? Culture. Secondly, we have religion. Religion is a major cultural component, and religious taboos, customs, holidays, and rituals dictate the behavior of a given society. The behavior of the given society, e.g., the Catholic Rosary. So, religion also defines your behavior in a particular society. Values and attitudes. This is what people in a particular society believe in as important ideas. Values and attitudes. What do you value in? It's a component of culture. For example, homosexual is allowed in South Africa but prohibited in Zambia. This refers to whereby having sex with the same sex. Having sexual intercourse with the same sex. For example, a man having sex with a man, a woman having sex with a woman. That is homosexual. It is allowed in South Africa but prohibited in Zambia. It's prohibited. So, values and attitudes. We continue looking at the components of culture. Education. Education is an important part of culture. Since culture is linked, then education must come in. There are three types of education or learning. Three types of learning. The first one is informal learning, formal learning, and technical learning. Let's talk about them one by one. Informal learning. Informal learning is where a child learns by imitating the behaviors of the family members, friends, or characters portrayed in movies. A child will just learn by imitating, oh, my father does this, okay, I'll be doing that as well. My friends were doing that, okay, I'll be stealing as well because my friends steal. Characters, that's how our own back used to beat people. A child is learning. So make sure you know what to expose your children to, because they learn by imitating as well through informal what? Learning. They learn through informal learning. Make sure you observe what they are watching on TV, because they will imitate without even anyone explaining to them. They will just learn, oh, okay, I'll try to do that. That's what it is. Formal learning. This is where adults now, or elder siblings, can be adult, the parents, or the older brothers, the older sisters, teach their young ones on how they should conduct themselves in certain situations. This is where now you as parents, you as elder brothers or sisters come in and say, no, my child, my sister, this is not the way you should conduct yourself. You should not steal. You're not supposed to do that. You must not fight. You are teaching that person or that young one on how he or she should conduct him or herself in certain situations. That is formal learning. The last one is technical learning, where a teacher instructs a child in an educational environment about what should be done, how it should be done, and why it should be done. This is why the children go to school. They follow technical learning. They follow what? Technical learning. So this one takes place in schools. It involves a teacher, educational environment, schools. That is about education as a component of culture. As a component of culture. The last one. The fifth one is social organization. This is the way a society organizes itself. The way you organize yourself. For example, when you've got a celebration, how do you conduct such? That is social organization. It's also a component of culture. Technological and material culture. That's a component of culture. It refers to society's ability to create, design, and use things. Straightforward. To create, design, and use things. That's technological and material culture. It's a component of culture. Law and politics. These are rules and structures that regulate the behavior of society. For example, you are not supposed to steal. You are not supposed to fight. Those are the rules that regulate the behavior of society. The legal rules attract punishment when contravened. They will attract what? Punishment. In the village, you have sex with another person's wife or husband, you'll be taken to the village headman. Then you'll be punished. So there is a law or a rule that is regulating the behavior of a society. When you go against or when you act contrary to the rule, you'll be punished. Law and politics. The last one is aesthetics. The aesthetics. This is the society's perception of what is considered beautiful in art and in persons. In art, what the society designs, and in persons, what they consider, this is beautiful. For example, these people from the Somalians, do you see the way they dress? The way they dress, those Somalians, Muslims, They cover their faces. That is their perception of what is considered to be beautiful. They say, this is good. We'll be dressing like this. So that is aesthetics. These are the components of culture. These are the components of culture. Apart from talking about the components of culture, it's very important for us to talk about the characteristics of culture. We quickly go through them. Culture is dynamic. What does that mean? This means that culture is not constant. It is always evolving and changing. In the past, people used to put on long dresses, stringing materials, but now those things are not common because culture is doing what? It's changing. The way of life people used to live in the past is very different from the way of life we are living in now. So culture is dynamic, keeps on changing. Culture is learned. That means it is passed on from generation to generation. From generation to generation. The people who started speaking Lala died long time ago, but we still speak Lala. How? We've been learning. It has been passing through from one generation to generation, generation to generation. That's how it is here. So the third one is culture is cumulative. Culture is cumulative. What does this mean? Every human generation can discover new things and invent better technologies which become part of culture. So culture is cumulative. It keeps on adding on new things. The generations can be discovering. Okay, our generation has discovered many things. It has discovered things. In the past, there were no computers. In the past, people used to use they were using camels for transport. But a certain generation discovered a vehicle for transport, phone for communication, and computers. So these things have been added to the culture. Hence, culture is accumulating. It is accumulating. How? People are discovering new things and they're inventing better technologies which will become part of what? Culture. Culture is shared. No culture is static. Ideas and beliefs are learned from other societies. We copy ideas from other people. We copy. For example, in Zambia here, let me just say in Africa, it was not common to see a woman dressing in a trousers. No, it was not common. But because of the whites, because of the Western countries, that thing has become normal even in our societies. Why? We have copied because culture is shared. So they have shared their culture with us. We are speaking language which is English. We are speaking a language which is English. It's not our language. Me, I'm a lad. Why am I not speaking lad? But English has become a what? A universal language to use for us to communicate. Culture is shared. It's not our language. They just shared it. Allah. Culture is comprehensive. It's the sum total of all, or it's the sum total of a society's way of life. It's the sum total of a society's way of life. That means Everything included in the way of life of a particular set is in culture. It will be expressed through culture. So culture is comprehensive. That's what it means. We continue looking at the characteristics of culture. Culture is integrated. This means that culture must be integrated in order for it to be my base is not well here, it's not showing the weight there. Admitted, I think it's admitted successfully from one person to another. It must be integrated. Not you differ in the way you speak and in the way you dress. It should integrate itself. It should be one thing. It should be one thing called culture. The way you speak, the way you dress, the things you make in that particular society should be showing to say, okay, these people are from Serengeti. That is, culture should be integrated. Another characteristic of culture is that people do not know all their culture. People do not know all their culture. No one knows everything about his or her own culture. No one knows everything. Me, I'm a Lala. I don't even know how to speak Lala because I've never been to Serengeti. But I'm a Lala. How? It's a characteristic of what? Culture. It's a characteristic of culture. Culture is based on symbols. In order for culture to be transmitted successfully, it's transmitted here again. It's transmitted. Okay. In order for a culture to be transmitted successfully from one generation to the next, a system of symbols is created and it translates the ideas of the culture to its members. It translates the ideas of the culture to its members. Culture is symbolic. Culture is symbolic. For example, we have the Catholic rosary. They usually put on that, what is the corona? Don't know how they call it. The thing they put in the neck here. They put in the neck. Don't know how they call it. Is it a rosary or corona? That is a symbol to show this one is a Catholic. It's a Catholic. It's their culture. It's their way of life. So culture is symbolic. It's based on symbols. Lastly, we talk about the importance of culture. Culture preserves knowledge. Culture preserves knowledge. For example, in particular societies, they produce certain materials. They will keep on teaching other societies how to make those products. So the knowledge will be preserved through culture. It dictates what people do. Culture dictates what people do. It tells us, okay, this is what the Lalas do. They do, I don't know if it's Chiwelamushi. It determines our attitudes towards others. It determines our attitudes towards others. Culture helps to identify people of different societies. Culture helps to identify people of different societies. These are the importances of culture.